Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a wild story about a creator and its creation, and what happens when the puppet decides to cut its own strings and turn on its master. So, when you hear a Pakistani defense minister declare open war, you'd probably think he's talking about their old rival, India, right? But no, this statement wasn't aimed at a historic enemy. It was aimed at Afghanistan's Taliban government, the very group Pakistan spent decades creating, funding, and protecting as its ultimate strategic prize.
And let's be clear, this isn't just tough talk. This number, over 400, that represents the number of people, including children, reportedly killed in just a single Pakistani airstrike on a hospital near Kabul. The human cost here is just staggering, with hundreds of civilians getting caught in the crossfire every single month.
So what we're seeing on the border, it isn't just some minor skirmish. This is a full-blown conflict between two nations that call each other Islamic brothers. I mean, Pakistan was openly celebrating when the Taliban took back power, and now they find themselves in a deadly war against their own creation.
And that really brings us to the core question here. How on earth did we get to this point? How did Pakistan's single greatest foreign policy asset turn into its absolute worst nightmare? It's a crazy story of strategy, unintended consequences, and an ideology that just spiraled completely out of control. To really get it, we have to go all the way back to the beginning.
This whole story really kicks off back in the 1990s. You see, the rise of the Taliban wasn't some accident of history. It was a very calculated geopolitical move by Pakistan's powerful intelligence agency, the ISI.
The plan was called Strategic Depth, and on paper, it seemed pretty simple. Pakistan wanted to install a friendly puppet government in Afghanistan to act as a buffer zone against its main rival, India. And as you can see here, in 1994, the ISI found their guy, a cleric named Mullah Omar. With Pakistan's full support, we're talking weapons, money, training, the whole shebang, the Taliban just stormed across Afghanistan and took the capital, Kabul, in only 2 years. And even after 9/11, when Pakistan officially sided with the US, it was secretly hiding the very same Taliban leaders.
This image really just says it all. For 2 decades, Pakistan played what's known as the double game. They took billions of dollars in aid from the US to fight terrorism, while at the same time they were giving safe haven and support to the Taliban. So when the US finally left in 2021, you had Pakistan's prime minister celebrating that the Afghans had broken the shackles of slavery. For a moment there, it really looked like their big gamble had paid off perfectly.
But here's the twist. This is the one crucial detail that Pakistan's generals either completely missed or just tragically underestimated. See, the ideology they were nurturing didn't just stay put in Afghanistan. It was creating a monster right in their own backyard.
And this question gets right to the absolute heart of the problem. While Pakistan was so focused on controlling the Afghan Taliban, a new, and you could argue even more radical group was emerging from that exact same ideological well. The Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, or as most people know them, the TTP.
Okay, this is probably the most important distinction to get your head around. As you can see here, while they share an ideology, they are two totally separate groups with very, very different goals. The Afghan Taliban, they're basically a nationalist movement. Their mission has always been to rule Afghanistan. The TTP, on the other hand, they see the Pakistani state itself as the main enemy.
You know, the TTP was born in the exact same Pakistani religious schools that were used as recruiting centers for the Afghan Taliban. They even fought alongside them against the Americans. But they believe Pakistan betrayed the whole global jihadist cause when it sided with the US after 9/11. So now, their one and only goal is to destroy the Pakistani government and replace it with their own brutal version of Sharia law.
Okay, so let's look at how the victory Pakistan engineered for the Afghan Taliban in 2021 basically poured gasoline on the fire of the TTP insurgency back home. The second the Afghan Taliban retook Kabul, the TTP was massively emboldened. They were given safe haven right across the border in Afghanistan, and, well, you can see the results for yourself. The attacks inside Pakistan have been absolutely catastrophic. Terror-related deaths almost doubled from 2024 to 2025 alone, hitting over 4,000 people.
And here is the perfect, terrible irony. Pakistan is now dealing with the exact same double game that it played against the United States for 20 years. Its number one enemy, the TTP, is being sheltered and protected by its oldest and closest ally, the Afghan Taliban. It's a strategic nightmare that is completely of its own making.
And if all that wasn't enough, you've got this 130-year-old wound that just keeps getting ripped open. It's called the Durand Line. The British drew it on a map back in 1893.
and it split ethnic communities right down the middle. Afghanistan has never, ever accepted it as a real border, and the Taliban sees it as just an artificial line dividing their people. This deep-seated anger fuels constant border clashes and makes any kind of real trust almost impossible.
So, when you add it all up, that grand strategy of strategic depth hasn't just failed, it has backfired in the most spectacular and bloody way you can imagine.
Pakistan's puppet has completely cut the strings. Not only is the Afghan Taliban refusing to hand over TTP militants, but they're now running their own foreign policy. And in the ultimate twist of the knife, they are openly building trade and diplomatic ties with India, the very country this whole proxy strategy was designed to counter in the first place.
You know, there's an old saying that just captures this whole mess perfectly. For decades, Pakistan used these groups as a tool of foreign policy, thinking it could control the flames. But now, its own house is on fire.
Ultimately, I think Pakistan is learning a very brutal lesson. Radical ideologies don't have masters. Once you let them out of the bottle, they follow their own devastating logic. The wind has definitely changed direction, and now the creator is being consumed by its own creation.